Today I'm going to show you how to create a gritty portrait in Lightroom. Now the best kind of portrait to use for this technique is one where there's loads and loads of texture, because it's that texture that we're going to be able to pull out and really accentuate. So here I've got a man, he's wearing a really nice jacket, lots of facial hair, the hat, the wrinkles, they all lend themselves perfectly to a gritty portrait. So first off, I'm just going to scroll down to tone curve and go to point curve where it's set to linear by default and choose strong contrast, and that just immediately makes the image a lot more punchy. And next I just want to bring down the right side, our left, of the man's face. Just want it to come down exposure wise, so I'm just going to use the highlight slider and just bring that down, I think about -20, just to bring back, make sure we've got all that detail in there. There wasn't too much burnout, but I just want something that's a bit more even here. And next I'm just going to go down to clarity and give that a really nice big boost. So there, looking at his face, that's looking really good, but things are starting to look a little bit strange down in these areas, so I'm just double checking them. If I just zoom out, if you look here at this magnification, it looks a bit weird, but when we actually go in close, it is fine, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. Although the background up here doesn't look great. So what we can do is something really quick and simple, and we'll get exactly the same effect, but we're not going to have that problem up here in the background. So just click on the adjustment brush, and I'm just going to put the clarity all the way up to 100. Just use the right square bracket key to make the brush a bit bigger. Let's just change the feather amount. So that's just going to add a nice soft edge. I think that's going to be better. And we'll just paint in over the image where we want that clarity to be increased. And normally I would be a lot more careful about this, but just to keep things nice and quick, I'm not going to zoom in or spend too much time doing it. So there we go. And if I just click on here, we can see a before and after with the clarity. I'm guessing it might be a bit too high up at 100, so let's take it down to 65, which was my initial idea, and that looks a bit better. Okay, so we'll just click on that brush icon again. That closes the tool off. Now we can take a bit of the saturation out across the entire image, because part of this technique is about desaturating slightly. So we keep as much natural color as we can, but we just knock a bit out. And next, let's go down to sharpening, and we'll zoom in nice and close. I just want to increase the sharpening. Normally, I would leave this on 25, but I'm going to take it up to about 45 just to really bring out that detail. For this particular image, I would say that is over sharpened, but because we're going for a gritty portrait, it's going to be fine. It's not a problem. That's exactly what we're looking for. Next, I'm going to go down to effects and post-crop vignetting. Now, by default, it's set to highlight priority, and I quite like color priority because it's a kind of medium strength in terms of the three options that are there, and it just lays a vignette over the image as it is. So let's just drag the amount slider so we get it where we want it to be. So let's go for about 30. And then the midpoint, we can just bring that in a bit. So we've got that focus on our subject's face there. I think that's good. And now with that vignette in place, I'm just going to go back up to exposure, overall exposure of the image, and just make sure that the man's face is exposed just how I want it to be. So let's just push it a bit further, see how it goes. So looking at that, I think about 20 is just right. So let's take a look at the before and the after. So if I just click on the reset button, so that's our original, then Control Z, there's our gritty portrait. So let's just zoom in and do the same. So let's reset that, and then that's the difference. At this point, there is one more thing we could do, and that's to add some noise. So we just get a nice kind of film grain effect. And this is really up to you whether you do it or not. One of the advantages of adding grain is that if you over sharpen an image on purpose like this, it can actually hide the effects of over sharpening or make them less obvious. So let's just put the grain amount up to about 40, 45. And here we have size. So there we see it's really small. And I kind of like a medium kind of grain size. And then you've got roughness here, so we can make it rougher or finer. But I'm quite happy with that kind of middle ground. So we can, I think actually it's that one there. So let's just switch between. So there we have our noise or grain. And there we have our image from before. So that's it. That's our finished gritty portrait.